Hello, my name is Nick Mencia, and the name of my app is TUNER. TUNER is an app that I'm hoping can rekindle relationships between us and Russia through music. No, I'm just kidding. It's a place where music fans can connect with bands that they know and discover new music in a way that I think is not being offered currently online. So today I'm going to take you through my UX process from research and ideation all the way through to a high fidelity prototype of my app. So yeah, just another joke, but I already got a joke in there, so we'll move on. Just a really quick introduction. I've been making music since I was 6 years old. I decided to pick something around music because I have some experience to draw from, and also I thought it would give me access to the all-important user for surveys and interviews, which we'll get to later. Nick County is my music moniker, so feel free to follow me on Spotify or wherever you look at music. So what we know, I realized that trying to gather data from both musicians and music fans would be difficult in the 2 weeks allotted for this project. So I started to target just the fans to start. I felt that this would be a good strategy, and once they were happy, I could figure out what the bands wanted and try to connect the two. So yeah, this is kind of like my problem statement here. How might we design an interactive mobile app to better connect music fans and musicians? Really emphasis on connectivity and the interactive elements. So I decided to start with surveys because I was curious where the younger generation was kind of like listening to music these days. I feel like in the technology landscape, I'm like a dinosaur, and I just thought it would help me to kind of strategize. So unsurprisingly, Spotify is the most popular, followed by YouTube and SoundCloud. So I also asked some open-ended questions in my survey, which got me some interesting responses. People were asking for an Ask Me Anything, a lot of requests for exclusive access, fan requests, demo versions of songs. It gave me a lot to think about as I went into my competitive analysis, where I looked at Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And really, like some of the differentiators that I found briefly, Spotify has custom daily and weekly playlists. The artists have playlists, but there's really limited interactivity. You can kind of see what your friends are listening to, but there's no it's not as much of a social function. SoundCloud has an interesting feature where you can make comments on a song. So 2 minutes into a song you're listening to, you can be like ripping guitar solo, and people can talk about the song in-app, which I enjoyed the dialogue, and people would analyze the song. I thought that was interesting. And then YouTube has like a huge library, some stuff that you can't find elsewhere. But I actually, from my interviews, a lot of people found they didn't say user experience, but some of the functionality, usability, they found kind of clunky or like not as clean or easy to use, intuitive as Spotify. So yeah, from there I interviewed 6 women, 20 to 25, all avid music fans. There's like a music writer who's 22, and he had written about me at one point, so I reached out to him. He has a lot of followers on Instagram. I got him to post something, and a bunch of people came to talk to me, so over the phone. So here's just a few quotes I got. You can see them on the screen there. I was really starting to get a sense of who my target demographic was and what their needs were. So yeah, I think I'll read you one. I really like this one. As a fan, it would be really awesome to be a real part of the music. For someone like me who doesn't make music, it would be so humbling to help make something that then you would listen to. It would be really rewarding. It would add such a sense of value to these musical experiences. So yeah, from there I started just trying to synthesize all of the data I'd collected from my qualitative research. I tried to start creating like zones where I was hearing a lot of insights. Interaction, like where people like to interact with bands, where the fans like to interact with bands. Platforms, where they're absorbing the music and why. Incentives, like what they would want to get perhaps for actively contributing to a community in an app, and then features. What is missing? What are you not getting from these platforms where you go to listen to music or to dialogue about music or connect with bands. So I synthesized all that into my persona. This is stylish Meg. She's 20 years old. She's a design student at New York University. She enjoys music. She loves the Strokes and David Bowie. She's always trying to discover new music before it blows up because she really loves being able to interact with bands, and she feels like when they get too big, she loses that access. She also writes music for her blog, so that access is really important to her. And she doesn't play music. So as you can see, I tried to synthesize a lot of the data I was collecting. 80% who never have made music but always wanted to. 69% would like to find a way to engage with bands more. There were a couple other percentages that I thought went into Meg, such as, she follows bands via social media, and she listens to music every day. So really targeting that avid music listener who is, I like the quote, "Music is my life." That kind of sums it up. So from there, I went into an ideation phase. I was taking all of the different insights I was hearing and trying to pair that with a feature or just different ways of delivering this experience. So co-creation, I was thinking about connectivity a lot, how fans can be an active part of the process so they can feel like they have more buy-in, or it's like empowering that it's not just like a one-sided transaction. And from there, I just very quickly made a sketch so that I could just get out and start testing. So TUNER, right here you see kind of like a Q&A section, and then what I was calling songs, or keep the demo, so they could hear a demo and then give some feedback to the musician, and then they get to keep this early version of a song, which is kind of a valuable piece of collateral when the finished product is done, and they can say to their friends, "I heard this song, a year ago." Below you see like a quick user flow, just trying to get them from the welcome to the features as seamlessly as possible. So yeah, from there I tested. This is an avid fan of Eastern European pop, and she also has like a very famous like death metal band that's really big in Norway, I believe. No, she's actually a UX model, and I am as well. So, if you need that, we can talk after, talk offline. So actually, what I did is I went to a show. My friends were playing not far from here a couple weeks ago, or last weekend maybe. And I got there a few hours early, and I was just targeting music fans. So I was able to get 5 interviews with people who were like really into music, were stoked to be there. I captured this photo of my friend Danny, which I would later turn into my hero image for my prototype when we get there. So yeah, there's the V1 again, and now here's the V2. I started to wireframe, try to block out where things were going. Some of the insights I got from my testing were that things were unclear. I had a nav bar that was kind of all over the place. It was changing all the time. They felt the Q&A section could have gone in somewhere else. It didn't need its own page. There's just a lot of like usability kind of like flow issues and having trouble reading, not knowing where they were. So I tried to like simplify things a little bit here. And from there I made a mood board trying to capture kind of the feelings that I wanted to evoke from my app. So hip, bold, creative, friendly. I actually tested this in my style tile, and the dark blues you see in the top left and the bottom left were not jiving with like the red that I really liked in the central picture. So I went with something softer, and I took out the yellow because that wasn't working as well. So yeah, if you're ready to rock, give me one sec here. I will take you to my prototype. So here we are. We're at TUNER, connecting music lovers and music makers. I wanted to give the explanation because a lot of people were confused. So here are the demos before they're released. Let the artist know what you think. You can skip this too if you want to, if you feel like you want to figure it out on your own or you've already been here. Give song makers inspiration for songs, share a story, memory, or idea to inspire. That's Song Seeds. Shows, pretty self-explanatory, and form as well. And so that'll take you to kind of this home screen. You can check emerging artists you like, new to TUNER, suggested artists. Artists you like would be people that you've already visited, new to TUNER. And then emerging artists. I really think this is kind of the core place where you can discover new music. So Here, let's click on Rick Moon, and you get a profile, a little info about him, some fun facts. I got an idea from one of my interviews where they could crowdsource the info in the bio. So you can ask him a question, he answers it. If he wants to put it into his bio, he can. So it's evolving, which hopefully will bring people back, and they'll give them some insights that they might not be able to find in other places, and it feels more kind of like authentic, which I also heard in my interviews that a lot of people love Twitter because it's the musicians being their authentic self. So I thought about that when I included that part. So then we go to demo. Again, the artist can put up an unfinished recording. They give you a little story about where it's coming from. You can listen to it, and then you can give feedback, which I think could be really helpful for the musician and also empowering for the fan as well to create that connection. And then again, forum, you have live Q&As. I house that here instead of before. Also notice I tried to improve a nav bar so it never changes and you kind of always oriented and you can always get back home, which I think is obviously important from a UX perspective. And then shows. Again, pretty self-explanatory. You can request a song for an upcoming show, so just another way that you can interact and form a connection. So that's my app. Yeah, as far as next steps, if I had more time, I would love to really dive into what the musicians' needs are. They're a finicky bunch, so I would love to understand what they would want to get out of something like this. I would target emerging artists because I feel like they would have the most to gain from something like this because they're looking to build that listener base. And then create more incentives for active users. So yeah, I really appreciate you sitting here and listening to me talk. Thank you. You've been great. Have a good day.